haven't seen you since the last Success Day, which was, of course, the end of last year. And I know it's 3 weeks into January, but on behalf of the team at Longbridge Manor, I want to wish you all a very happy new year. I know that it's late, but we hope that it's a healthy one for you. And, of course, we can have a certain amount of control and influence over that. So I encourage you to look after your health, because without your health, all the money and all the other things are useless. So make sure you spend some time working on yourself this year, get yourself into the best of health. Happiness, well, I hope it's a happy year, but I guess we're a little bit in control of that as well, aren't we? We can either decide to go out every day and put a smile on everybody's face, or just go out with a long face. And of course, not everybody's happy, but it's nice to try, and I think every day as I leave to work or wherever I'm going, I try and put a smile on somebody's face during the course of the day. I think that's a good thing to do, and I'd encourage you to do the same thing, because when you put a smile on somebody else's face, you smile too. Not everybody wants to be happy, and I can tell you a little story about one of our guests at Longbridge Manor a couple of years ago. I was walking down the corridor and I met a business owner that I know well, and he'd got a guest with him in the manor for the first time, coming to the business opportunity meeting. So I chatted to the guest a little bit, and into the opportunity meeting they went. And a couple of days later, I bumped into the very same FBO. I said, "How did you get on with your guest? You know, he seemed a really nice guy. Is he going to get started with us?" He said, "No." He said, "He's not getting started." I said, "Oh, I'm really surprised. Why is that?" And he said, "Everybody seemed far too happy." Absolutely true story. Absolutely true story. So, can't please all the people all the time, and some people obviously love to stay miserable, and that prospect was definitely one of those. And the last part of Happy New Year, of course, is prosperous. And one of the beauties of being a business owner, an entrepreneur, being in business for yourself under the umbrella of our great organisation, is that you have a great deal of control over that too. And if you haven't had chance over the resting period of Christmas and New Year, I know it's not resting from a social point of view, but from work, I hope that you have set some big goals. And if you haven't done that yet, I'd encourage you after today's session to get a vision of what you'd like your life to be a year from now, and 5 years from now, and 10 years from now. And I know for very many people, when they join our industry, this whole concept of goal setting is a little bit alien. It can feel a little bit strange, because let's face it, it's not part of our, well, it wasn't when I was at school, although that was a long time ago, not part of our curriculum to teach people how to set goals. But I can tell you, having been an advocate of goal setting for a very, very long time, it's amazing when I look back over my goal setting that I've done for the last 10 years, how many times at the end of the year things have happened because I wrote them down, I was focused on them, and as a result of focusing on them every day, it gives you the energy to go out and do the things that you need to do to build your business. But probably more importantly, I think it helps you overcome the guy I talked about who doesn't want to put a smile on his face. Because sometimes when we encounter those people, we can begin to think, am I the crazy one here? If you have strong goals, that helps you do that. So on behalf of the team, we hope it's a great year for you. So for the benefit of those of you getting started with us or new to the room today, I'd like to do, as I always do, just a quick flyby of what our business is all about. It's basically an opportunity. It's a vehicle that any one of us can use to achieve our goals, to change our life, to create an extra income stream, to create more time. People join us for a whole host of different reasons. Sometimes people join us with relatively small ambitions. When I joined Forever Living back in 1994, so I'm 24 years old. I wish I was. Goal setting, wishful thinking, you know what I mean? 24 years with Forever. When I joined, it wasn't that it was going to change my life. First, when I looked at it, didn't think it could do that. I was very sceptical, as very many people are, I think, when they first encounter a business model like ours. And my original goal was to make an extra few £100 a month on a part-time basis. What I observe from very many of our business owners is that they often start in a similar place. But you know what happens when you achieve that goal of 300 or 400 or 500? What does it tell you? I can do this. You know, if I could do 500, maybe I could do 1,000. If I could do 1,000, maybe I could do 2,000. And that's literally how people build their businesses, with those small steps. So when you get to your goal setting, if you haven't done it, start, yes, have some big dreams, but start with some small successes too. If I'm not yet 4cc active, maybe the first goal is I become 4cc active. If I'm not yet an assistant supervisor, maybe that's the first goal. And the great thing about our marketing plan is you can see those goals, aim at them, and as you build your business, you build your confidence. And that's what our business is all about. What I love about it is the diverse group of people that we attract. When you look around some of our bigger Forever audiences, particularly at our international events, you'll see people from all backgrounds, all walks of life, all ethnic types, all religious types. Age 18 is the minimum you can be when you start with Forever. There is no maximum. A couple that I meet most years on the Global Rally, they're US-based FBOs, they're easily in their 90s. Yeah, they're at every single rally, and they, when I chat with them, sometimes I have breakfast with them, or they're a really interesting couple because they've been with Rex almost since day one. They don't need the money anymore, but they love the camaraderie of Forever Living. And so it really is a truly unique business in the types of people that it attracts. From small, humble beginnings in Phoenix, Arizona, we are now spanning the globe. Established in 1978, this makes us 40 years old in May. Very many of you know we're going to have some big celebrations on our 2 international trips this year. Both are going to be in the USA, which is unusual. Normally we move them around the world, but we thought as it was our 40th birthday, we wanted as many of you to see the facilities and the infrastructure that we have in the USA. So our first event in April is in Dallas, Texas, which is home to Aloe Vera of America, which is our main manufacturing business where all of our aloe comes from. It's also home, of course, to South Fork Ranch, made famous by the Dallas TV series, which Rex bought in something like 94. And so you'll get a chance, if you're with us at that event, to see those facilities. Later on in the year, we're going to be in Phoenix, Arizona, which is our hometown. It's also home to Forever Nutraceuticals, where we make all of our supplements, where we make RG, where we make the Ultra as well. So you get a chance to do that. You can qualify to go, of course, and very many of you have. We're going to recognize you later on today, but you can also pay to go on the first trip, which is Dallas, and I really would encourage you to think about that, because I can promise you when you see what's behind the scenes, you really get a sense of the stability of Forever Living. A great picture of Rex there in the early days, and Rex is still very active in our business. In fact, we had Aidan O'Hare with us over the Christmas period. Who knows Aidan? Very many of you, I think, yeah? Well, his mom still lives in Liverpool and his mother-in-law lives in Solihull, so he brought his entire family over. In fact, he said to me, can you organise some transport for me for a couple of weeks? I got all the family with me. I said, no problem. What do you need? He said, I need at least a 7-seater van. I said, okay. So I managed to find him a 7-seater van. The day before he's arriving, he sends me a picture. He's got the biggest truck in the world in America. You know, everything's big in America. He's got the biggest truck in the world in America. He sends me a picture of all the luggage in his truck. I said to Kate, there ain't no way we're going to get all those luggage and all those kids in one van. So we had him for 2 weeks driving around in 2 vans, so it was an experience. But he said to me, Rex is still in the office every day of the week. Isn't that amazing? A billionaire who now is in his 80s, but this is his baby. This is his passion. Every day of the week, still in the office, you know, contributing to the stability and the growth of Forever. Cash rich, debt free, which is a great place to be. For me, again, 24 years ago, looking at this business, this was a really serious point to consider. If you're developing a business under the umbrella of somebody else's company, you want to be assured that that company is going to be around in the future to keep paying you the bonuses that you've created and keep supporting the team that you've created. When we expand around the world, either by buying different facilities, new facilities, which we're doing all the time, it's from our own cash reserves. We don't have to go to the bank to borrow, so therefore we're not beholden to anybody. That's also the beauty, of course, about being a family business rather than a publicly quoted company where you have very often shareholders that aren't really connected to the business. They're only shareholders because they want to get a return on their capital. Does that make sense? Family business is a great place to be because you fully are in control of your destiny. You can see some of the numbers from the screen there. $1.5 billion worth of assets. Our prime asset, of course, here in the UK is Longbridge Manor, the office that we work from. $2.6 billion worth of sales, over 100 million here in the UK, which seems a large amount of money, but later on you'll hear today about the size of the marketplace for our products. We haven't yet scratched the surface, and that again is what I find so exciting about where we are in our development here in the UK, in Scotland and Ireland in particular, where we've got so much untapped potential, coupled with a strong history, coupled with lots and lots of skillful people in your upline. Some of our leaders have been doing this for a very long time too. And so you have as a resource when you get started almost like a non-executive board of directors that'll help you develop your business. So again, if you're in the room for the first time thinking, I haven't done anything like this before, I can promise you, you are similar to the vast majority of people who join us. So there's plenty of support and training to help you there as we grow around the world. Trading in the UK since '93. So again, a long history. The interesting thing about this is I am very often in Warwick, which is our hometown as far as where our office is. Most of the population of Warwick haven't even heard of us. Can you believe that? You know, we have a growing population in the UK, over 60 million people here. You only need a few of them as customers, you only need a few of them as team members. Let's look at some of the reasons why we're growing as fast as we are, some of the reasons why, again, you should be confident that you're in the right place at the right time. The first of those is around the marketplace that exists for our type of products. We have an aging population. We have a population that is probably more aware of their health now than at any other time in history. Google. I'm not feeling well, let's Google. It's not always a good idea, but what I'm saying is there's tons of information available. And what we've seen, particularly in the last decade, is a sea change in the way that people think about their health. There are very many things that we all know that are good for our health or bad for our health, and we have a degree of control over that. There are very many people now recognizing that if they look after themselves, they can avoid being ill as often. And that's the world that we're in, the health and wellness, health and well-being, the look good, feel good sector is absolutely growing year on year. And each year we develop new products to address that marketplace. And this year, as in every other year that I can remember, we have some great, exciting products that we're going to launch around the rally in Dallas. We're also, I think you're aware, this year moving away from our delightful plastic yellow gel bottle, and we're moving into Tetra Pak, which of course is more environmentally friendly. It enables us to recycle much better, but probably more important than anything, it means that we can have the only aloe currently in the world that has no additives or preservatives in. So when we go to Tetra Pak, we will be 100% pure aloe. The first company ever to do that. So that will also be launched at Rally. We already have it. We've had it for a few months now in Japan. They have seen an almost instant increase in the consumption of their aloe, and that's because, you know, when you tell your customer that it's 100% pure, so therefore it needs to be treated a little like milk, if you like, they're more inclined to drink it every day then rather than leave it in the fridge and just take it out when they're ill. Have you noticed that? You know, often I get into dialogue with people, and how long does it take you to drink a bottle of gel? Oh, you know, maybe 2 or 3 months. Wow. Well, you know what? If you were drinking it every day, you'd have a strong immune system, you'd be in better shape health-wise, and so I think with the Tetra Pak, we've got a great opportunity. I was in a country manager meeting just 2 weeks ago in Amsterdam, and Aidan shared with us the global consumption. And around Europe, each ordering business owner, so that's every business owner that places an order, and again, as you all know, you don't have to place an order, it's a flexible business, you can order from us every 3 months, every 3 days, every 3 minutes, you'll determine that. But every month, every ordering FBO on average consumes 1 litre of gel, Freedom, Peaches, Nectar. In Japan, it's 3 litres. So they consume 3 times as much product as we do in Europe. And I think with the development of the Tetra Pak and the launch of the Tetra Pak, we've got an opportunity there to be drinking more of it and sharing that with our customers too. We should see that. It's going to be launched at Rally. We should see it here in the UK around about May, June time, I would guess. Obviously, we need to sell off all our plastic ones first before we get to the Tetra Pak, and I reckon it'll probably be about 2 months after launch that we do that. So you might see around May, June time, you might, for example, order a Freedom and and a gel and find that in your box, one comes still in the plastic and one comes in Tetra Pak as we work our way through that. Because once it's bottled, you can't unbottle it. That makes sense? So just to give you the heads up, it might not come through in one go. You might see it come through in little drips and drabs. And the Bits and Peaches is now just called Peaches because the Tetra Pak couldn't cope with the bits. So there you go. So constantly innovating, constantly trying to be ahead of the curve. And, you know, the biggest statements that we make about our product and have done for nearly 4 decades is that if you don't like it, bring it back and we'll give you your money back. We have a 60-day unconditional money-back guarantee here in the UK. Less than half of 1% of our product comes back. So we've got the right marketplace, we've got the right products, and I truly believe we've got the right distribution method. Can you imagine 40 years ago, Rex taking the decision to be a little bit different and manufacture a product and then sell it direct to the consumer? Of course, now that's pretty commonplace, particularly with internet shopping. But back then, 40 years ago, that was not commonplace. Most people were manufacturing a product and then selling it through a conventional retail chain. Now we see more and more people recognizing that this is a really easy way to get into business for themselves. It's a way in which they can get into business with a fraction of the investment or cost that it would take them to start a conventional business. Open up a hairdresser's shop, even doing a window cleaning round. You are not going to be able to do that for £199.75, are you? With a money-back guarantee. Absolutely not. So we're seeing more and more people now recognizing that the days of the job for life are gone, recognizing that they are sometimes just a number in the organization for which they work, and recognizing that it's almost impossible, no matter how good your job is, to go and dictate terms to your boss. Imagine when we say a prosperous year, when we say about setting goals. Imagine, you could grow your income by 10, 20, 50, 100, 200%. Imagine who's got a job? Anybody got a job? Okay, we'll try and fix that as this year goes on, but at the moment, try going into your boss on Monday and saying, you know what, boss, I'm always here early, I'm always working hard, I'm a very enthusiastic employee. Is there any chance I could have a 20% pay rise this year? You wouldn't even dare, would you? You'd probably get the loony asylum to take you away, it's just not going to happen. But that's the power that we have when we own our own business. And so this method of distribution, I think, is absolutely right for the times that we find ourselves in. If you're unfamiliar with our type of organization, with the concept of network marketing, then there's a really good book I can recommend that you buy from Knowledge is King. I don't think they're here today, but you can get it online, and that is The Business of the 21st Century by an author called Robert Kiyosaki. He was the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's a great insight as to why our type of business model is perfectly placed for the economic trends and the times that we find ourselves in. The second book I could recommend that you buy around the size of our industry in terms of the health and wellness industry is a book called The Next $1 Trillion Industry by a guy called Paul Zane Pilsner, who is a trend predictor. It's a few years old now. I think it's probably close to 10 years old as a book, but it's still really relevant and current. And the next $1 trillion industry is the industry of health and wellness as compared to pharmaceutical solutions. So both of those books are really powerful books to help you get a grasp of the marketplace that we're in and how that's going to evolve, and also the method of distribution. So I would encourage you to do that, particularly around the method of distribution, because there is still a lot of myth around what we do. How many of you who've been with us for a while have had a prospect ask you, is this a pyramid scheme? Yeah. Is it a cult? Because it's different, and I get that. You have to, I always think about, when somebody asks you a question, that it's normally based around their field of reference, what their view of the world is. Does that make sense? So, if I'm talking to a prospect and I say to them, do you know anybody who's got a good job? They're going to say, I've got a good job myself. I know plenty of people that's got a good job. So that's in their field of reference. You might ask a prospect, do you know anybody who owns their own business? Most of us know people who own their own business outside of Forever. Would that be fair? Yeah, I know the guy who owns the garage. I know somebody who owns a corner shop. You might even ask a prospect whether they know anybody who owns a franchise. Because the growth of franchising over the last 30 years, there are very many, most of our high streets are franchises. So that's in their field of reference. You ask them, who do you know that makes a substantial career income out of network marketing? What's the answer? Probably nobody, because it's still a relatively new industry, so it's not within their field of reference. So it's important that we understand what our prospects are thinking. We can do that by becoming more knowledgeable about our business ourselves, and the business of the 21st century will help you do that. Some of our advisory board experts, they will be here during the course of this year. They run programs at Longbridge Manor too. They're here to support us in the development of our knowledge around the products. So far left, we've got our resident doctor, Dr. Peter Atherton, from a conventional GP background. Peter started a journey over 20 years ago of discovery as to how natural products can help in the management of health. He's the author of 3 books, and his latest book, which is now a few years old, is also a must-read for you to understand the power of the plants from which we make very many of our products, and that's, of course, the aloe vera plant. David is our resident vet. The UK and Ireland have the highest sale of products in the animal market of any of our countries anywhere around the world. Would you believe that? We love our animals, don't we? Sometimes we spend more money on our animals than we do ourselves. I see it really often at Longbridge Manor. We have a small product centre. For those of you who have been, we have a small product centre at the back. Very often I'm helping people carrying cases of gel out. We get chatting. Sometimes they say, oh yeah, this is from a horse. Perfect. Do you drink it yourself? Oh, no. Give me a horse. You know what I mean? They spend thousands on their animals and sometimes not on yourself. David's helped us develop that marketplace. If you have an interest in animals, David can help you with that too. Dawn's our resident skincare, nutritional expert. Far right, Louise. You're going to hear from Louise later, so I won't steal her thunder, but Louise has really helped us develop that market in C9 and the F15 in the sport market and the weight loss market, and that is a growing market in the UK. You know, when we look at the statistics for obesity across Europe, they're getting worse, not better, which means that we can help very, very many people by educating them on their health. This is our leadership team for this year, and if they're in the room today, I'd love you guys to stand up. We had our first meeting yesterday. Let's see our Scottish leaders. So, take a little look around and see who these people are. So we'll be meeting regularly with the Scottish leadership team to get some feedback, to help develop strategies specifically for Scotland. We recognise that you are a long way away from our head office, a long way away from our success days, which are typically in the Midlands, so we want to make sure that we support you here in Scotland. So if you have any suggestions as to how we can be better or support you better, feed those through any one of your leadership team here, and we'll be happy to do that. We are a work in progress, I think, as a business, and there's no better place for us to get feedback than from those of you who are building significant businesses here in Scotland. So we look forward to working with the leadership team during this year. We had our first meeting yesterday, and already we've started to develop some key things that'll help you grow your business, some incentives just for Scotland and stuff like that. So get to chat with them and give us feedback on how we can be better. But congratulations to all of those on our leadership team this year. Around the country, in some areas, we have what's called ADDs, Area Development Directors, and I share this with you because you might have friends, family, prospects in other parts of the country. If you log on to our main site, which is forevernowledge.info, you can see there a map and see where all of the ADDs are. If you have prospects in other parts of the country, you could connect with the ADD and make sure that they get looked after at any one of our meetings. We have close to 50 locations across Ireland and the UK in which we're running a regular weekly business opportunity meeting. And the power of those, if you are unfamiliar with them, is that it's a meeting run by somebody who's been around the business for a while, is capable of sharing the message, so you don't need to know anything about the business yourself. You just need to turn up and bring your guest and they'll be looked after. So I'd encourage you to engage with that infrastructure of support. Another group of people in the room today that I'd like to recognise are our VIPs, and to become a VIP you either need to be an Eagle Manager, which is one of our key incentives, or to be a recipient of our Chairman's Bonus Programme. So again, quickly for the people in the room new for the first time, we put 3% of our turnover each year into a separate fund that is then shared by qualifying FBOs, and there's no limit as to how many people can qualify. We give out the proceeds of that fund proportionate to the contribution that the business owner has made. Does that make sense? The more business they've done in their team, the bigger their check, and so those checks are handed out at our April event, which last year was in Dubai. We gave away $26 million over 2 days to hundreds of business owners from different countries, and the same thing will happen this year in Dallas. So if you're a manager or above, I'd encourage you to really understand the power of the Chairman's Bonus program, because it's there to encourage you to continue building your business. The rewards for it can be really, really substantial. I think it's probably one of the, well, it is the best program of its type anywhere in our industry, where we share the proceeds of our success. And if you think about that, you know, we're a family business. Rex could keep all the money, couldn't he? But Rex has always been one for encouraging people to be the best that they can be, and that's how you are rewarded. So that's a little overview of Forever, and I hope for those of you who are here for the first time, it's put into context what our business is all about. It's about you being a business owner, you being an entrepreneur, you being in control of your Forever business. You're never going to get a letter from me or anybody else at head office saying you need to do more. You set the agenda. And the other good news is you're never going to get a letter from me or anybody at head office that says you're making too much money. Stop. So therefore, when you look at our business owner base, we've got people who are simply engaged with us just for the product, and that's all they want to do. That's fantastic. To have lots of customers is a good thing. There are people who are engaged with this on a very, very part-time basis because that suits their needs and their requirements, and perhaps only wanting to achieve an extra £200 or £300 or £400 a month on a very, very part-time basis. And whilst I say only £200 or £300 a month, that can be a significant contribution to a family budget. How many friends and family do you know or have that would love to have an extra £200 or £300 in their pocket at the end of the month? Loads. We often hear that very many people run out of money about week 3. There's too much month for the money. And we have a business model that instantly can fix that. And then equally, we've got increasingly now more and more of us that have developed a career income and more from exactly the same box of products, exactly the same set of negative friends and family that we all have, just by getting focused and getting driven.